Hey everybody, welcome back to Sounds Like a Drum, Cadence Independent Media Production. If you're just joining us, we talk about tuning and tone and hacks and myth busting and pillows today. We're going to talk about pillows in your bass drum, but not about the pillows. We're going to talk about whether or not your bass drum batter head matters, like your choice, if you're going to put a big old pillow in there and kind of deaden it up. Arriving today, I was excited about this because I actually haven't put a big pillow in a bass drum in quite some time. I landed on 2 EQ pads in my rock bass drum and they're velcroed in kind of forever. But this is definitely a thing I've done. A lot of people do it. I've done it a ton in the past. It was my sound the whole time I was growing up, just, thud. But the question is, does your batter head choice matter if you're just going to put a pillow in there and theoretically destroy the tone? Thanks again, as always, to our presenting sponsor, ProMark by D'Addario, for helping us out today. I am sticking with the Forward Balance Acorn 5As. They are super fun and loud, and I feel like being fun and loud today because we're playing big bass drums. So why put a pillow in your bass drum? There's a lot of semantics to describe what the point of this is, but ultimately it's about focusing the drum's sound, maybe bringing in some more low end, maybe just making it easier to play or more manageable to play quickly. It can also mitigate beater flutter if you bury the beater on your drum. This has gone on for as long as people have been trying to have a thuddy bass drum sound. So what we're talking about today is specifically the heads. And there's a lot of pre-muffled heads out there for bass drums. There are standard single-ply heads for bass drums. There are all kinds of modern, interesting things that are coming out. But at the end of the day, is this something to be concerned about? Because what if a G1 and an EMAD are the same if you put a pillow in there? They're not priced the same, so, or different brands for that matter. So first things first, we're going to start off with kind of a middle-of-the-road head. We're going to do a Calftone EQ4, and what it is basically a single-ply head. It has the sort of faux calf stuff on the batter side of it, and then it has a small built-in, mylar muffling ring like most kind of standard bass drum specific batter heads tend to have these days. So we're going to throw it on. We've got a pillow in there. For going forward, the orientation of the pillow is the long way is laying in the inside of the drum like this, sort of like a cradle, and we've canted it a little bit so that the majority of the pressure is on the batter head and a tiny bit is touching the front head, which is the way that I like these to be. Now, if I was doing a gig and I was going to play for hours and hours, I'd put something on it, whether it's the microphone that they're going to put in there or some kind of weight to stabilize it, or I might choose a different pillow. This is the one that we have, so this is what we're running with. For those of you who have been sticking with us and maybe saw the sandbag episode from a few weeks back, the sandbag has been in the drum since we shot that. It sounded great. We just took it out today. The drum is still perfectly round. It's in case anybody was wondering. I know there were some concerned people. It's been in there for, I guess, months. Yeah, it's fine. No problem. All right, so let's check out this head. I'm going to do a little demonstration. We're going to do single strokes, and then I'm going to do a demonstration playing off the head and a demonstration burying the beater into the head. All right, it sounds lovely. It's warm, it's punchy, it's got a little bit of a vintage vibe to it. It doesn't have a ton of attack. It's kind of a fat sound. I can think of lots of times to use that sound. It's worth mentioning also that I did record with my phone the sounds of each of these heads as I made them to make sure that they were all tuned to the same pitch. That's going to come up later, but suffice to say, we're staying in the same range here. We're not trying to make them sound particularly special based on the design. This is also a good time to mention that a pillow is going to interact with different designs of drum heads slightly differently, and we picked 3 really different ones to kind of accentuate that. The Calftone's heads are meant to be dark. They're meant to have a subdued tone and have sort of the lower and low mid fundamentals accentuated with not a lot of clicky modern high end. So putting a pillow against that head is taking even more high end away from a head that already is designed to not have a lot. So this is making it extra dark, and if that's something you're after, this is a rad solution for that. Now, the next one we're going to is a UV EMAD. And so this is a head that's got a built-in muffling ring around the edge, but it is still a single-ply drum head. Well, there's the proof. It's real different at the same tension. Some people wonder about why you would put a pillow in a drum when you're using what is thought of as a pre-muffled head, or like sometimes that's the terminology that's thrown around. Anything you do to the head is going to change the behavior of the head. Anything at all. Like if I do a single-ply head with a pillow and that's it, or if I put a felt strip on that head and then put the pillow in, everything you do is going to change it a little bit. So it's okay to use any design of head with any kind of muffling that you want to, as long as it gets you the sound that you're after. Now, right away, this sounds more modern. It sounds bigger and thicker, and the tactile sensation of hitting it, it feels clickier. Like we actually looked around because we thought that there was something like metal touching around because of how much attack appeared compared to the last head. So I mean, there you go. It's real different. Again, if I was going after a sound, I might change the tension. I might offset some of the lugs like you saw in the earlier video. But for today, we're just sticking in the same pitch range. Now, number 3, the one I'm most curious about, Clear G1. 1-ply, 10 mil, nothing. Just the simplest it could possibly be. Interestingly, with this head, we tried tuning it at what was audibly the same pitch, and it sounded really kind of clicky and kind of dead and had some odd overtones. And we recorded it and it sounded all right, but the vibe near the drum was a little weird. So I raised the pitch of the whole head just a little bit, like not even an eighth of a turn. And all of a sudden there was a lot more low end, and it occurred to us that those other heads have muffling attached to them. So there's more mass, which means that at a given tension, the overall sound of the head is going to be lower because there's more mass moving. So to get this head to speak, it had to be slightly higher than the other ones needed to be. So this is super trippy. It's yet a third sound in what is basically the same pitch range with the same muffling. We didn't ever change the front head at all. It stayed in exactly the same place. This reminds me a little bit of a lot of sounds I've heard from, say, like Simon Phillips, who is a clear bass drum heads guy largely. Doesn't do a ton of muffling inside, but he definitely does that towels and tape number, pretty much all the time. And this affords you both a different level of attack and punch in the mics and also just in your foot when you hit this. If you're a person, when you're playing a big bass drum that feels like it's sort of like, I don't know, too pillowy, or it's not giving you that sense of just a point on the note, going to a thinner head or going to a head that doesn't have muffling attached to it gives you a sensation of that attack. It's just like a click when you hit it. Even if you're not hearing it, you can feel it in your foot. And it's really fun for playing fast stuff on and for playing busy stuff on. It's just like, it's a good time. Now, this might be a good time to just touch quickly on the idea of which one of these sounds is the best. None of them is the best. They're all usable. They're all good. Context for me decides which sound to use, whether it's the room that I'm in or the song that I'm playing or the people I'm playing with or the drum that I'm using. So I really encourage you not to jump to which one of these is your favorite, because this isn't meant to be a comparison video. This is meant to be a demonstration of whether or not it matters what you pick. And obviously it does, but only to the extent that they will sound slightly different, the tuning ranges will be different, and you might prefer one over another, or one might be appropriate for a certain situation more so than another. Ultimately, they're all groovy. I was surprised at how much I liked the Clear G1. It's really fun to play. This is, kind of going back to our main ethos about all this stuff, that there isn't a right or wrong choice here. There's no right or wrong thing. Is it doing what you need or not? And if it is, keep it. And if it's not, experiment, experiment, experiment. Try everything. All right, for those of you who stuck with us, here is the back-to-back of all three of these guys. All right, so to sum up, we started this day not knowing what was going to happen, and we were surprised several times along the way by a lot of different factors, and that's what's great about this whole process. We get to experiment, we get to learn, you get to come along, find out the same stuff we're finding out, and maybe find something new and useful that will help you in your life, in your music, and learn about your gear a little more too. All right, thank you very much for watching. Thanks again to ProMark by D'Addario for being our presenting sponsor. Please like, comment, and subscribe down below and click the notification icon so that you can get notifications about our videos. Every Tuesday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're always dropping something, trying to. Also, please visit our Patreon for extra footage, extra anecdotes, extra playing from all the videos you see here. And lastly, what is your bass drum head choice and why? I'm going to be a little pointed about it this week because I'm actually really curious how you got to the one that you chose. Was it a sound thing? Was it because somebody told you to? Is it because that's what Vinny had and that's good enough for you? Who knows?